Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
I'm Mac.
And I'm Pepper.
And for today's Stone Timber video, you can see we're still talking about Wingspan, but we're talking about our 10 favorite bird cards as of having the base game of Wingspan, the European expansion, and the Oceania expansion. So out of all the birds, I believe we just looked. North America, so the base game had 170 different birds. The first expansion, European one, had 81 birds, and the Oceania one added 95 more birds, for a total of 346 birds that we currently have to choose from. So it will be
a big stack of the cards, and that's not even all of them.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how much these lists would change after eventually all of the continents get made. I wonder how many more birds will be there. Kind of at the end, if it'll get to 700 birds. Think it'll get that high? Maybe higher?
Yeah. It's crazy we could do a top 100. That'd be one out of every three.
Right. But yeah, so
could still each do a top 100 and have no crossover.
we pretty much could. But yeah, so I guess the way I don't know how everyone picked their cards. I guess the way I did it was first I went through and just got a bunch of them that I liked the look of, and then kind of narrowed it down based on powers after that.
Yep, little of both.
Yeah, I did a little of both. Maybe a little more emphasis on power for some of them, where I don't necessarily love their look, but maybe it's a really great power, so I did make an exception.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have any cards where I was like, oh, I love that power and I love that card, so yeah.
Mostly on looks?
Yep.
Okay.
And then from power there, I think.
And I think you probably like birds the least out of the three of us.
This is correct.
So we can start with your number 10.
All right. My number 10 is the hooded merganser. I don't know if you can see him or not, but he is just a funny looking duck. He's got a little fro, and I just love the way his fro looks, because he looks like Dr. Frankenstein or whatever, because he's got this huge white streak going on. And I actually like ducks. I think they're funny, so I felt like he was a good representation of that. And I also did like his power, because when activated you got to repeat another skull power in his habitat. So if you have a water habitat animal with that skull, that might be fun, because most of the time they let you tuck or whatever. So I thought that could be good if you have a tucking card or something. So
yeah,
just a little froyo guy.
That was a really good one. He almost made my list. Spoiler alert.
he is a very interesting looking guy.
Yeah. I've seen that on chickens before, but I didn't know that ducks had those too.
Well, I'm just going to start with an honorable mention first.
Oh, wow.
And that is the common loon, which is my favorite bird, but just didn't make the cut because his power wasn't quite enough.
He's got a little baby.
He does have a little baby. Maybe I should have done it.
Okay.
Player with the fewest water birds draw a card, so
that
might not even
give
be
you
you.
A benefit,
right. So that was just, if it had a positive benefit that was always going to for sure be me, it probably would have made the list. But then we will get to my number 10, which is the belted kingfisher. I don't know if we can see this. Jesse, are you going to put these on there maybe? If you can.
Maybe. We'll see.
You're going to have to
see.
Google 30 cards.
But yeah, the belted kingfisher has a once between turns power. When another player plays a water bird, gain a fish from the supply. He also has a star nest. I just like the look of the kingfisher. I think I had a couple different birds that had some sort of fish or thing in their mouth or that they were eating. And I can't remember if there were other ones, but I think this was the one that I ended up picking that had that kind of thing. He's got a fish in his mouth and he's on a branch. So I liked the look of him. But he's probably my number 10 out of these ones, just because the power I found kind of maybe the least beneficial, just because there is a chance that the other players, especially if you're playing a lower player count game, they might just not play many water birds.
Yeah, yeah. Now that I'm looking through these, I'm like, I really did not focus on looks very much. I'm like, yeah, these are pretty generic looking birds. But my number 10 is the yellow-headed blackbird, which is also on a stick with something in his mouth. I think that is a dragonfly. This next one looks pretty decent, but the ability, you took a card from your hand behind this bird if you do also lay an egg on this bird, which is a good way to get points and possibly eggs while not actually taking the lay eggs action.
Yeah, that's a very solid action. If I was going for best actions, that would be right up there for me.
Well, I'm going to follow suit with a blackbird, except I chose the red-winged blackbird.
Oh, boy.
And he doesn't have anything in his mouth, if that's what we're talking about. So this is the exact same action as yours. I wonder if all the blackbirds have the same action. But I chose this one just mainly because where I'm from, or like where I grew up, I remember seeing red-winged blackbirds all the time, like almost every morning on the way to school. And I just always think it's really neat. They just have this patch of red showing through, and just kind of like a little nostalgia there. And I liked his power, and they're very cheap, so they're good. Yes. They're a good card to get played.
Yeah, that's true, and we see those on our walk all the time. And he is, I think I have seen him sit on, it looks like he's on like the top of a reed or something like that.
And that's funny because that's like literally what I would see him on usually.
So yeah. And then the next one, it might be a little bit of another one of my two favorite birds, with the common loon and then the American woodcock. I just love seeing the videos of these guys tap their foot on the ground. This guy doesn't have a power, so I was like, should he make it? Maybe not based on that alone, but he has 9 points. But he's also very expensive. Costs 3, so it's still, even though it's 9 points, that's still a lot. But it is worms and kind of the wheat or whatever resource that is. So it's at least easier resources to get. I still think he's a solid guy.
Keeping my theme of sitting on a stick with something in its mouth, this is the gray catbird. So get my love of cats in here from between two castles. And yeah, he's got like some berries that he's holding, one in his mouth, and his ability is, when activated, repeat a brown power on one other bird in this habitat. Which for abilities is interesting to rank because it really could be anything.
Right.
But yeah, just a good looking card, I think, and good name, good ability.
And the fact he can go in all the habitats, so you could match him up with if you did have a power that you really liked, you could match him up with any of them.
All right, well, my number 7, I think we're on now, is the...
Is it 7 or 8?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 8.
He's just confusing us with all his
that's
bonus cards.
He's got all these.
And here's my other honorable mention.
Mine is the Northern Cardinal. And so those are red. Again, one from the area I'm from. And then also my grandmother loves cardinals. And so kind of whenever I see this card out, it just kind of makes me think of her. And I also think that the cherry, I feel like, is one that I'm almost never going for. Unless you're going for like, because I think it's like a very specific subset of the birds that eat the cherries. So I just think that would be neat if you're going for that like smaller, I think it's mainly like wooded habitat birds. So, and he's sitting on a branch with all these little berries, and they're just very, I don't know, just kind of, he doesn't have like a super great power. It's just gain one cherry from the supply, but I don't know, I just like the look of him.
Yeah, that is true. We go to my number 8, who I thought looked pretty interesting. It's a one from the European deck. It's the, and I'm not sure if the name is Yellow Hammer or Yellow Whammer.
Yellow Hammer.
Yellow Hammer or Yellow Hammer? What would you say it is, Maggie?
Yellow Hammer.
But yeah, I really like the look of the bird. He's on a branch, and he's got his head turned back looking the other way. But he's got a round end bonus here. So if you used all 4 types of actions this round, play another bird, pay its normal food and egg costs. I just found that to be really unique as well. So I thought, that's a good one to do. I don't know how often I actually use all the different actions in a round. But, I mean, that would give you a reason to maybe do it if you were like, maybe just wait to do food or something, but then all of a sudden you're like, well, I could play another bird if I do. So that just gives you another interesting choice that you can make.
Yeah. Next up for me, my number 8 is the Sandhill Crane. So he is a crane, big bird.
Big bird.
When activated, discard a wheat to tuck 2 cards from the deck behind this bird, which I love whenever you can tuck from the deck, so you don't actually have to lower your hand of cards, as well as 2 at a time, but also costing you a food, which can be tough to manage, and you usually want to keep that, but I've had games where I did have good production of that, and was able to tuck quite a few.
Nice. Alright, my next one is, it's kind of funny because when I was choosing these, I told Zach, I was like, well, I've got a group for this, a group of this, a group of this type of bird, a group of this type. So I have a couple of types of birds that I find more interesting than others, and so I tried to choose a representative from those. And my representative from my woodpecker group is the downy woodpecker. So I like this card just not only because I like his coloring. I think there's something fun. He's got like this little red tip on the back of his head. I think that's so funny when birds because I feel like birds around here can be pretty blah, like just, you know, brown, sparrow, robin, you know, I guess those have the red chest, but I love these like vibrant birds like the cardinal and like the woodpeckers.
We got woodpeckers around here.
I know, but I don't see them very much, but yeah. So I would assume this is one, it's from the base game, so.
Yeah, there were a lot of woodpeckers. I'm not really I don't remember which one is actually the one that
we'd have around here. Yeah, I had like 6 pulled out, so I'm not sure, but I feel like I probably have seen this one or one that's similar to him. But
a really, really cool bird, kind of like a mixture cookies and cream with
like
a little
an
red on
Oreo.
the head.
And this one I like too because it's pretty cheap. It's only 1, and it's either worm or green or cherry. So he can only go in 1 habitat, and he's only 3 points at the end. But I also like that his power was when played, play a second bird in your forest habitat, pay its normal cost. So kind of gets you 2 actions for the price of 1, kind of. Yeah. So I just like him. I like woodpeckers. I think they're funny.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked a woodpecker because I was wanting one, but yeah, I didn't know which one to really choose, and I don't know that any of the, I can't remember the powers exactly, I guess, but I'm just glad you picked one.
Yeah.
But speaking of a type, I must have a type because I thought that I had made sure I didn't have multiple of the same type, so I must have had 3 at one point and gotten rid of 1. Because I have a second kingfisher. We got the sacred kingfisher here, who also has a once between turns ability, so when another player takes the gain food action, you can gain 1 worm, fish, or rat from the bird feeder if there is one at the end of your turn. So it's a good way to get food. Kind of surprised that it's limited to those 3. I mean, that's what he takes to eat, so that makes sense. But it would be nice if you could just take a food, but at least this kind of doesn't make sure that if one player takes food, you for sure get something. But I must really just like the look of that the kingfishers have.
I think even they look really cool. They're long beaks, and they don't really look alike, but other than their beak. But
I think I had a third one as well. I don't remember which one that was, but yeah, so I must just like the look of these. But this one's got some blue and green wing, and on his head, long beak, like you said. I like that look to them because I think there's like the shoveler and stuff too. I didn't end up picking that one, but I like the look of that as well. Granted, this one is worth 0 points, but can be placed in any of the habitats and only costs 1 food, and has 3 options of what you could pay. So pretty solid.
My next one is the killdeer, which I just like that name, as well as he looks kind of cute. Way too cute to have kill in his name. But yeah, he's got, when activated, discard an egg to draw 2 cards, which you can play him in the gain eggs row. So just love any action that can gain you the benefit of another row's action. And as well, that can help you then later tuck those cards, 2 other cards, in that row. But I also really like his bird fact. Killdeers will fake a broken wing to lure predators from their nests. Wow.
Nice. Tricky. I wonder if it can take out deer, or...
That fact makes me think so.
Alright, so I think we're at the halfway point now, right? So, my number...
6.
Okay, sorry. I can't tell how these are... I don't know how numbers work. Thanks, babe. Alright, my...
Which I guess is a halfway.
Yeah, sure.
In a way.
My next one is the cute little penguin. So he is very expensive. He costs 3 fish, which is why he's kind of down lower on my listing. He is 7 points and a star nest, which is really funny, and it's kind of weird because his, like, the picture of this or the artwork reminds me of my dog. So we like to joke about that. And I love penguins, so it's cute. His power, I think, is pretty cool. When you draw, you can discard 5 cards from the deck, and then for each fish and their food cost, you can cash 1 fish from the supply on this bird. So kind of like a little bit of a gambling card, like just kind of see what you get. So he's pretty fun. Yeah. And he's cute. Little penguin.
For my next one, I've got one from the Oceania again. I think that's where actually quite a few of mine come from. And I've got the mini-colored fruit dove, which made me wonder, as I read that, I was like, I wonder if that counts for the color card colors in their names, because it doesn't actually have a color in its name, but it is many-colored, so I didn't actually, I should look to see if that would actually count as one or not. But yeah, I think this one's more based on the look. He's got a kind of speckled pink and white chest with a little bit of orange there as well, and then like a pink or red head. I just really like the look of this bird. I don't know if it's a fruit dove. I was gonna say I don't know if it's somewhat close to like maybe a parrot type. I don't know much about birds. But yeah, when activated, all players gain a berry from the supply. You gain 1 additional berry from the supply. So if you do have some of these other birds that they've got that need all these berries, the mini-colored fruit dove will be there for you. Yeah, I really like it. It's a colorful bird.
This one is not very colorful, just black mostly. He's got a little red on the top of his head, and that is the black woodpecker. Ooh. Which is not nearly as good looking as the downy woodpecker, but I thought the ability was pretty amazing. Gain all worms that are in the bird feeder. That's like the most common resource, and that's every time you would activate, so you can really, and that is in the row where you gain from the bird feeder, so you can really manipulate that and really milk it. But yeah, it's also 4 points. He is pretty expensive, costing 3, but still, just that ability seems pretty crazy, and that is from the European expansion. This is my first non-base game one.
My first non-base was the little penguin with the Oceania expansion. Ooh. But for my next card, and now the actual halfway point, my number 5, I have a card from the European expansion, and that is the Snow Bunting. And I chose this one not only because I like the artwork, it's just a little white bird with black wings, so kind of a reversal, and I'm like, how many like just straight up white birds and like just kind of different, you know, again, just tired of like little brown birds around here. So I'm like, oh, look at this little white one. And I also like his power, which is once between turns, when another player tucks a card for any reason, tuck 1 from your hand behind this bird, then draw 1 at the end of their turn. So I play with boys who like to tuck cards a lot, and so I feel like this one would be a really strong one to get out. And it's 5 points, you know, for being a small bird, it's pretty good. So I just think she's very cute and helpful.
Really wanted to get that one on the list. It was so freaking cute. Fluffy.
It's big old belly.
Like a snowball.
That is a good choice. But for my 5, I've got another colorful bird. It is the splendid fairy wren.
Ooh.
There's another Oceania one. He's on a little stick, but he's very blue. I'd be curious to see what this one would actually look like in real life, because it almost looks like an unrealistic color mesh here, but
similar to like a hummingbird's sheen, maybe.
Right.
It looks like.
But yeah, it's got a star nest, which I always really like those in birds, especially a lot of the gulls seem to be nest egg oriented, so it's always nice to have that. And this one actually has a game end ability, first one I have of those, and you lay 1 egg on each of your birds with a wingspan less than 30 centimeters, including this one. So that could be possibly really, really good, because it does seem like there are a lot, you can get a lot of them played that have that smaller wingspan, so be really cool to see how many you could get with that.
Yeah, for sure. Gonna have a crossover here. I believe this is our first crossover, and it is with the old foot tapping American woodcock. Just, I mean, it's all in the dance moves for this one. He is pretty cute as well, but like you said, he does not have an ability, but he is 9 points, and I do really like anytime you can build a 7, 8, or 9 point bird.
That's true. There are times where you want to
very
do that.
satisfying, and to do that with the American woodcock that I love to watch dance, put music over.
That's
it
true.
Had to make the list.
If you haven't seen it, definitely look up videos of the American woodcock tapping his foot to different. There's probably a bunch of different ones with different music.
Man. Oh, the woodcock. All right. Well, I'm going to Australia, and I am going with the laughing kookaburra.
I had that one in my cards after I went through the ones.
Yeah, and I love this one. I was like, I have really hard placing this one, but first of all, the name is just so fun. The noise that they make, I mean, it's probably really annoying if you hear it a ton, but like, overall, like, I like the call that they make.
How does that noise go?
I'm not going to even attempt it. I think they're really neat because they have this huge head and this long beak.
Kind of reminds me of the kingfisher.
Yes, it looks a lot like the kingfisher, and then they've got this cool little blue.
It looks like a mix of those two.
And so I just thought, I just love kookaburras. I think they're just so fun to say. And this guy can go in any habitat, and you can pay 1 of 3 different types of food, and then when activated, you get to reset the bird feeder, and if you do, you get to gain 1 worm, 1 fish, or 1 rat if there is one. So kind of gets you an extra of food there, and you can put him in that row too. So pretty helpful. He looks a little angry on this card, but I like kookaburras. So
nice. It's my number 4. I've got one from the European. I was between 2 birds that had a distinct look to them, with almost an eyebrow-looking piece above their eye, just to make them look kind of. I guess you kind of said this one looked more maybe determined or whatever.
And it almost looks like he has a stash too. So
that's true. And that is the gold crest. He's only 1 point, but he only costs a worm.
He is a chubby bird.
He is a chubby bird on a stick there. But I really love the look of him. I had to get one of these. I don't remember what the other one was. There's another one that I always get that I always think he looks angry. He's got his angry eyes on.
He's got like a dipped eyebrow.
I always love it when I get that one. But his power is discard 1 card from your hand if you do play another bird in your forest. Pay its normal food and egg cost, which... I don't know, we've been playing a lot of just the base game recently and not including some of these. But I don't think I ever remembered this power. And like I said, my original going through them, I wasn't even looking at powers. I was just looking at birds that I liked the look of. But then when I saw this power, I'm like, wow, that's actually a really, really great power. So that is the Gold Crest.
Yeah.
It's got a good look and a great power.
Yes, for sure. My next one is another European bird and another crossover with Zach, and that is the yellow hammer. You've already talked about it. If you
out of 350 cards almost.
Yeah, you use every type of action, you get a bonus play a bird action, which is just really cool to save actions or gain additional actions because they can get really, really tight in Wingspan. As you get one fewer each round. That's a big deal, I think. And he probably one of the best looking in my crew here. The crew. But
His
yeah, kind of
inmates.
a yellow look in my flock. Yes. Yeah.
My flock is dwindling.
All right. Well, my next one is another subset of those birds that I was like, here's that pile, here's this pile. And I love owls.
Ooh.
I don't like a lot of birds, but I just love I think I pulled every owl out of the out of the deck when I was looking through them. I just love owls. I think they're so unique for birds. You know, they're these tall, big-eyed, nocturnal, kind of fierce, but kind of like fun-looking birds at the same time. So I chose the snowy owl because,
Ooh,
you know,
the cover bird for
Cover bird.
European expansion.
it is, and you know, like hashtag Hedwig. So I
Think
just
about that.
yeah, I didn't necessarily pick her for the power or anything, but I just love the snowy owl, like how white they are, like when you're trying to like see them in the snow, and like I said again, like they're so big and their talons, and this one is 2 rats, 4 points, and 1 plate. You get to draw 1 new bonus card, then gain 1 card or lay 1 egg on a bird. So also very powerful.
Yeah.
I feel like getting those bonus cards is probably a good thing. So yeah, she's just real pretty and helpful.
That was another group, just like the woodpeckers. I did want to get an owl, but I did not end up getting one. That was one that one owl that had, what is it in his talon?
Yeah.
Mouse or whatever it is, lizard. I don't know what it was, but I was almost tempted to do that one. He did make my cut originally, but did not end up making it. And my number 3 is the European goldfinch, which I think is another really cool looking card. It almost has, now that I'm looking at it, makes me think of a pheasant.
It
almost.
does look like it.
But not quite. I'm guessing since it's 23 centimeters, it's probably much smaller than a pheasant. But it's kind of got that look to it. But this was another one. Like I said, we haven't been playing with the other ones as much. I didn't realize how cool of a bird this was in there, but I really like the look of him. He's from the European one. He's got a once between turns. Jesse had asked if I'd had all of them, or all the different card types, and I had told him originally, I don't remember if I have a pink one, but apparently I've got like 3 of them here. When another player tucks a card for any reason, tuck 1 card from the deck behind this bird. So kind of like you said, I like that, where you kind of getting kind of keeping up with your opponent if they're doing that. So.
I just read the fact on the snowy owl. I hadn't read it before, but it says Harry Potter's owl, Hedwig, is a snowy owl.
I thought it was going to say something like the cover bird of Wingspan European expansion.
Nope, just calling out Harry Potter there.
Getting jealous. These are all beautiful birds. I just have fantastic abilities. But,
well,
always a little different. You'll check out our rooms, favorite rooms from Between Two Castles. You'll see one list is a little bit different. But still fair list. So what you made?
We'll say I've got a pretty cute bird here. The song sparrow. Chubby. Kind of chubby bird. Kind of looks like some sort of coffee drink, you know, with the foam,
yeah,
cream
like a
in
latte.
the top. Latte. Yeah.
Some caramel
Little
running
mix
down
there.
the side of the cup.
So he's pretty cute. He's 0 points, which sucks, but he's very cheap. Just 1 resource and can go in any of the 3. And when activated, if he is to the right of all of the birds in this habitat, you can move it to another habitat. And I just love that, getting that early on. That's why there were quite a few with that ability, but I went with the cheapest one to build because I love getting that bird early on and really boosting up the actions.
I've noticed you using that strategy
of the game.
recently.
Yes.
Nice.
Used to be a little scared of it. I'm like, that's just too much to think about, but
Yeah.
I've come around to it.
Yeah, I enjoy watching you use it because I'm like, I always just avoided those ones because I'm like, ugh. But now I see you can just continually move them wherever, so it's funny.
Assuming you don't play another bird behind.
Yes,
But,
yeah. which is probably one of the problems I had. All right.
Locked it in place. Dang it.
My number 2 is...
You gotta let me fly.
Nice. My number 2 is we are going back to the owls again. I was like, do I really put 2 owls in my top 3? Maybe 3 owls. I had a really hard time deciding between the barn owl and the great horned owl, because I think those 2 are just very striking owls. I mean, the snowy owl in and of itself, I think with the white is really interesting, but I think just between these 2. So I actually just ended up choosing the barn owl and not the great horned owl.
The wrong one.
I do think the great horned owl is beautiful. I just went with the barn owl because I like the coloring on it better, and their face, like that feathering around their face, they have like this dark, which I feel like just really just is kind of scary, but like amazing at the same time.
Terrifying.
Soul sucking.
And I don't know, I think barn owls are always used as like villains in like critter movies, but I really like them. So again, this one can go in 3 different habitats. It does cost you 2 rats, but when activated, you roll all the dice not in the bird feeder. If any are rats, gain 1 rat and cash on this card. So not like a super strong ability, but I do just really love barn owls and the look of them. So I think I remember we had barn owls growing up a little bit in our barn, but they left after a while. But I just, that face, you spoke to them. That face is so striking. And I would be terrified if one like swooshed towards me or something like that. But
you'd probably be terrified if any of these birds swooshed towards you.
Yes.
Not the little penguin.
Oh, he'd swooshing.
I don't know.
He'd
I think
slap you.
Those things will nip, I think.
Well, he needs some fish.
I know.
You got some fish for him, then he'll be happy.
I know. So yeah, just I'm an owl. Like I said, I like the owl. Not like cartoony owls, but like the actual look of real owls. I think are just magnificent. So.
Good choice.
Sure, we thought you liked the birds the least of the 3 of us.
All right.
You like them the most.
You love them the most.
I would say, like I said, there were a couple groupings, like the owls, the woodpeckers, the ones that were like these colorful. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, my number 2, going back to Oceania. I've got the kakapo. I don't know exactly how to say it. It's the green bird from the Oceania one. If you've played with them, the Oceania cards, you've probably seen this card, especially if you've looked through them, because it's very striking.
He looks like that jackfruit or whatever. He is very striking.
He looks like a jackfruit? Mm-hmm. What's that?
We'll Google it after this video.
Okay. This one's got a game end bonus, so you get to draw 4 bonus cards, keep 1 and discard the other 3. So that could be potentially a good chunk of points at the end. It is a little bit push your lucky. You never know with that. But this one also is a unique one where it doesn't have a wingspan in there. So it can kind of, with some of the goals and stuff in the later ones, or if you're checking like a wingspan, it kind of just always meets requirements. Because I think your little penguin has as well.
Does he have a variable size or what?
I'm not sure. I don't know if he, let's see, the flight, he's flightless, that's why. I'm guessing it's just the flightless ones. The flightless nocturnal parrot is endangered.
Oh.
It only reproduces every 3 years or so.
Oh my god, save the cockapos!
Yes. Yeah, I just really like the look of that one, and I always like game end or round end type abilities on these birds. So
yeah, it was a very, very unique bird. From that to one that literally has common in the name.
I just read the kingfisher or the kookaburra. The name for this large kingfisher.
He is a kingfisher.
Comes from Gugubara in Wiradjuri. An Aboriginal language. Sorry, I was just
we figured it out.
He is a kingfisher.
He is a kingfisher. I should have been reading these bird facts.
No,
sorry, continue on.
But yes, I have a very common bird, the common raven.
Oh,
I almost picked that one.
It's just a classic bird, a little scary, very costly, I guess. Can go in each of the 3 habitats, but his ability is just really great. Discard an egg from any of your other birds to gain 2 wild resources from the
pretty
supply.
powerful.
Especially, I like to pair that with the Sandhill Crane to discard a wheat to tuck 2 cards behind this bird. Then if I can also get the repeat a brown power, I can get 2 wheat, tuck 2 cards, and tuck 2 more cards.
This wasn't build your best tableau.
he's building his engine.
What are you talking about?
He's building his bird engine.
That's funny. I almost went with that one because when we went to, but I wasn't sure, when we went to London, they had ravens at the Tower of London. I wasn't sure if they were common ravens or not, but those were enormous and terrifying. And I was like, they were amazing. So, but I was like, I don't know if that's it. Okay, well, my last one is the American goldfinch.
Ooh.
And I chose this one.
She's going to say American woodcock, and this is just a decoy.
I chose this one 100% based on looks. This is probably one of the first birds where I was like, wow, that's kind of pretty. And I like the color yellow, and the goldfinch color I think is got to be one of the better colors of yellow shades. And so I just really find it striking with the yellow and the black wings, and I just think they're really cool. So, not like super cool, but when played you get 3 wheat from the supply, which might be good, you know, saves you some. So
you pay the 2 wheat to get them, and then kind of get that 2 wheat back plus an addition. So not bad.
Yeah, and I just remember my mom, I think we'd get goldfinches from time to time on our bird feeders outside, so they were kind of a bird I saw frequently. So a little bit of both there, but mostly just personal reasons.
Yeah, so yeah, that's your number 1. As you can see, I don't have another card. My number 1 is in another person's cards. And Jesse does not have one either. I don't know if this happens to be the same bird.
I don't know.
But mine is the little penguin. I just love the look of him, first off. Even without whatever his ability would have been, I think he would have made my top 10, just from his look alone. He's got a star nest, and then he's got any wingspan you need, and then also I think his ability might be my favorite one out of any of the cards in Wingspan. Draw and discard 5 from the deck, and for each fish in their food cost, cash 1 fish from the supply on this bird. I just really like trying to see what you can do with that. It might not always work out for you, but I like the chance. I always like that gambling type things in games, and that just feels like one of the best ways to do that. I kind of wish I had more cards that did that, but I suppose you couldn't really do it with more of the common ones, so maybe you could do it with rats or something.
Yeah, well, the little penguin is taking on the song sparrow's ability and moving from habitat to habitat.
Wow.
Because he is my number 1 as well. Probably, I think, my favorite looking bird in the game, and my favorite ability in the game. And he's 7 points, and a star nest, and the wingspan is anything you need it to be. It's just the best card in the game.
It really feels like it. I don't know if it... I feel like Elizabeth has a huge spreadsheet that's supposed to keep all of them equal, and it's just like something about that just does not seem equal, but maybe it's just slightly better.
Yeah,
which
other
he
ones
deserves.
where it's like, oh, you can tuck a lot of things, but maybe they don't actually have a good core point value. This one has a great core point value.
Right. It does cost 3 fish.
It does.
And it's forced to be in the water.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Throw the penguin in the forest.
It reminds me of Scamper the Penguin. Have you guys seen that movie?
Scamper the Penguin?
Scamper? Okay. If you've seen Scamper the Penguin, leave a comment below. It does.
It's Cookie.
It is Cookie.
I've ever seen her.
The troublemaker.
She would eat all the fish in the world if she was a penguin.
She would.
Yeah, those are our top 10 favorite bird cards from Wingspan, whether they be just from looks or from some other reason, like the woodcock, just one of our favorites, or any of your favorites, the owls and stuff, just not maybe necessarily just the cards themselves, but abilities.
One 3-way crossover.
And that's the little penguin.
The
little penguin that could.
But yeah, let us know below what your favorite bird card from Wingspan are, or your top 10 if you have them, or just in general, if you just like birds and haven't even played Wingspan, or are watching this video and have made it this far. Let us know what your favorite bird is in real life. But yeah. we hope to see you on our future videos. Otherwise,
don't forget to keep on nibbling
on our content.